Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Surviving to Thriving. Look better, feel better, be better by kicking MS and other autoimmunity in the butt. I'm your host, Yvette Briscoe, and I'm really excited to be able to bring our special guest today. This is Brenda Lanigan, and man, she's got a great topic for us today. How many of you have heard of reflexology? How many of you know the benefits of it when you're living with an autoimmune, some kind of chronic illness, multiple sclerosis, right? So Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Yvette.
Thank you. So before we jump into our topic, let's find out about you. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to reflexology.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I've been a holistic practitioner for over 20 years now, and my mom passed away from cancer at the age of 51. So right at the end of her life, we started finding out about alternative methods and alternative therapies and things like that, which I'd never heard of before. So after she passed, because those therapies did help her with pain to some extent, and they did have some benefits that she, noticed even with the pain that she was in. So that sent me on my journey of all these years to give people options. So that is like the phrase that I like to use. I like to give people options because there's always options. So reflexology was the first thing that I've learned. So back in 1996. And since then, Reiki and color light therapy, as well as a lot of self-reflection myself and learning about myself and how I can bring that forward to show others, what a positive attitude and mindset can really do to help you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Absolutely. And it's really important when you are living with an autoimmune disease, because people don't realize how much your attitude actually impacts you physiologically. Like, it actually has an effect on symptoms and how you're feeling physically. And so I think that's amazing that that's something that you focus on and are able to bring to people to help them live a better life. And that's what it's all about. It's about helping people who have a condition, right? MS isn't going away. It's there unless they find a cure, right, in our lifetime, but it's there. And so how do we live a full and vibrant and active life? We do it with the options that you're talking about. I like that word, options, right? So let's dive in a little bit. Before we talk about what it does for us, can you give us a little bit of the history and background of reflexology?
Absolutely. So reflexology has been documented way back over 5,000 years, and it was noted in China, Babylonia, as well as Egypt. So all those different cultures have used reflexology for thousands of years with multiple benefits. That's why it's still around, because it does work. And more recently, Dr. Riley, he developed, it was something called zone therapy is what it started out to be, and then from there it just kind of grew into what we know now with the reflexology points and the different meridian zones, and that's how people are learning today with those different aspects.
I think that's fascinating because I love the idea of doing something that the ancient Egyptians did, or the pre-dynastic China people. They had, like, you think of how far back that was, and the technology that we have today versus what they would have had back then, and yet they were still able to develop these treatments and different things that we still reach back to today because they actually did work. And I think initially we think, when we think that far back, we think of a more primitive situation, but they weren't. They were pretty advanced societies. And to come up with Eastern medicine and things that we can still use today, but doing it before the microscopes and before all of the advances that we have that we think make our lives easier, that's just amazing. So,
Oh, absolutely.
So is the type that that they used back then in Egypt and China and Babylonia, is that pretty similar to what we're using today, or has there been um, a significant change? Because I think the theories are still the same, right? It's that everything is connected.
Yes, I believe so. I haven't really seen any documentation of what their, reflex points look like, but because our whole body is mirrored in our feet, I think it was probably pretty similar to what we have today.
That's amazing. Well, let's talk about what we have today, because everybody who is watching is here because they're living with MS or some other chronic disease, or they are someone who has a person in their life who is living with it, and they're experiencing a broad range of symptoms. And with MS, we have so many different combinations of symptoms, so no two people are alike. And we have this just sort of this pool of symptoms that you can have a combination one day that's, maybe it's pain and blurred vision and muscle stiffness, and tomorrow it's dizziness and, a migraine and something else. And so I want to talk about what reflexology actually is. So how does it work? What is the basis for it? And that'll give us, I think, a better picture of how it works for people with MS.
Absolutely. So the way I look at reflexology is it helps us unblock energy blockages in our body, for lack of a better word. So if I'm working on the feet, I can feel almost like little granules of sand, almost is what it feels like. And what that's telling me is there's a blockage somewhere in the body. And by going over it a couple times, it breaks all that up and is able to release that into, we explained, to drink lots of water. So it just gets flushed out of the body afterwards. But it also releases toxins. So as I'm massaging the feet, that does release toxins, and you might have pain somewhere in your foot, and that's just an indication that there's something going on. So for instance, for your lungs, you might have like bad congested lungs, and there might be some pain in that area, and it's just because, well, your lungs are congested, so we're going to work on that area. So it just, your feet will tell you an awful lot about your body. So if you decide to massage your feet at all, even if you notice some different areas that are tender, we'll talk about later on, some of the free gift that I have, but that can give you some indication as to what's going on. And then just even, it's nice to go to a registered, a reflexologist, but even massaging your own feet, even though it doesn't feel the same, and I get that, it's always nice to have somebody else rub your feet, but it's still, you're still doing something for your body, and you're caring for your body. So even with that intent, it goes a long way to be able to help you with the symptoms that you're facing.
Now, MS it's a disease of the central nervous system, right? So everything is connected with the nerves. So is it that the nerve connections or nerve endings, I guess, in the bottom of your feet, is that kind of the lines where the energy comes from, or how does that work?
So they're meridians, actually. So there's meridians that go all the way through your body, all the way down to your feet, and then the organs and everything are also reflected in your feet. So there's, if you look at your feet, when you put your feet together, you've got, it kind of outlines the body if you put it next to one of the different diagrams that they have, and it sort of all falls into place there. So the organs are attached to the meridians, which are, I'm sorry, my brain just, it's connected to the feet as well as the hands. And with the color light therapy that I do, it's also in the face and the ears. So there's some areas that some of the organs can't be reached because they're in farther in your feet. So they can't really be pressed on as a reflexology point. So you can use the ears, and there's also a reflex points in your face. So your body is mirrored in all these different areas. So it's quite remarkable how our body shows up and how it can tell us what's going on, and it's amazing.
I think that's fascinating because, you know, when we're looking at, like you said, it's great when you can go and meet with, you know, a registered reflexologist, or if you just need a massage therapist, or, you know, acupuncturist or whatever. But sometimes you just want something that you can do for yourself at home, and it's amazing how, like, simple yet complex it is, right? Like, you have access to this tool that can provide you this relief, but it's not something that we learn about regularly, right?
Right.
It's not something that typically comes up in the course of just a regular general conversation, but a lot of the alternative therapies aren't. And I'm excited to be able to provide this information to people so that they can have an option, they can have a resource where they can try this and see, is this, you know, is this making me feel better? How is this affecting my migraine? How is this, you know, affecting the numbness in my arm, and things like that? So that's awesome. So let's talk some specifics. If, how do you know? So I know there's a chart that says this body part is, you know, press here, right? Basically. I know that's an oversimplification, but so a lot of times though, I find that when I have maybe a tension headache or something like that, and I'm at my mom's house, and my mom's a registered nurse, and she says, "Here, let me massage it out for you." And I'm thinking, right here, you know, right there, there's a knot right there. And so she'll start someplace in my lower back or underneath my shoulder blade or something, and I'm like, "No, it's up here." She says, "It's all connected." And she says, you know, this is where your tension is. You're feeling it up here, but this is where it actually is. So how do you figure out where to start? Like, how do you know which points you need to apply pressure to get the relief for whatever the symptom is?
Well, there's no real concrete way to know what that is. It's just, you just begin. And as you're doing the massage, you will find areas where it's tender. If a reflexologist is doing it, they have a specific way that they do the massage. So there's a specific way to do it. So they won't just start right in the middle of something. They start where they need to and then move through the different protocols. So as they do that, you know, the person that they're working on says, "Oh, I felt that. You know, I might have felt it up here in, you know, my liver. I felt it up here." And so they're like, "Okay, so this is an area that we need to work on." And then they'll go over it, and they may suggest that you come back a week later, drink lots of fluids. But it's pretty much, you just begin, and then you'll just notice where those points are. And as I mentioned before, I feel like little granules. Like when I ask a client, "Do you feel that? Is it tender?" And they said, "Nope." So it's just a blockage of energy somewhere in the body. And what's interesting, what I've, in the research that I've done a lot, is there are so many, as I mentioned, everything's connected in our body, but that means our thoughts and beliefs and everything else is connected to our body too. So if we think about our life and do self-reflection too, which is really important with any type of dis-ease in our body, because there's a lot of things that maybe we had trauma as a child, or maybe we had some really bad experiences or something, and we've never been able to let those go. And what happens after a while, if they're not looked at and acknowledged and released from our body, they start out here in the ether around us. And eventually, if we don't take a look at that, they will physically manifest in our body as certain dis-eases. So, for instance, I did look up, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It's one of my absolute favorites. And I did look up MS because she has the explanations for all of the different dis-eases in the body. And what she explains for MS is it's a mental hardness or hard-heartedness. And what that means to me is like you're not a mean person or anything, but something happened in a person's life where they were hurt so badly that their heart just like they've just protected that heart so badly that they're not letting anybody in. And when you do that, it starts to affect the rest of the body. So fear is also one of the things that she lists. And when you're in fear, you have the fight or flight, which stresses your body. So you're constantly ready to run or ready to fight. And your body can't keep up that continually. So it's going to break down. So the effects of the MS, like the vision, the brain and the spinal cord, it's attacking itself because it's just like so overwhelmed and it can't function. It's not going back to homeostasis and balance. So it's really important when you are working with MS or any other disease that you really take a look at what's going on in your life and those thoughts and beliefs that, yeah, they might be a little bit hard to uncover and it's not going to happen overnight, but it can really help with whatever is going on in your physical body as well. So that's one of the main components when working with reflexology or color light therapy is I always, talk to them about, let's see what else is going on in here because it is all connected.
Do you have that conversation before you start the treatment or is that after?
It's usually after, because people will come to me for a treatment and then I've asked them the questions and things like that. And then as we have a relationship and get talking about things and finding out more about what's going on, or if there is a specific ailment that they do have, then I will approach those different aspects and get to the bottom of some of those things.
So if I was coming to you, very first time, we've not had any kind of contact before, but somebody told me that you were an amazing reflexologist, and so I want to come because I know I need some relief. So when I get there, I'm assuming that I fill out like an intake form or something that lists all of my stuff. And then at that point, we go into a room and you get started with the physical aspects of the treatment, right? And so what does the environment in that room look like? I know, when I go see the massage therapist, they usually have some soft, gentle, soothing music playing. Some places have like a candle or wax melts or whatever going. Sometimes there's a little fountain, so you get the little trickling sound. The lights are dimmed, all of that. What does it look like when you're getting ready to start one of your sessions?
So the lighting is very low. It's very calming. I like crystals. I'm a crystal lady, so I've got crystals everywhere. So there is a very large 40-pound rose quartz that sits under my therapy bed, as well as lots of other crystals around. And it's very soothing. It's very comforting. Sometimes, depending on if the person has any type of allergies to smells, I do use essential oils, so that also helps with the soothing. And I sometimes will make a blend for the feet as well, so if there's something going on, I will put some oils on the feet. But just to make it as peaceful and calming as possible. I've been to a lot of different massage therapists and things, and it's just like, what would I want to go into if I was having a treatment? So I make it as comfortable and as cozy as possible, and yeah, it's just very dim lights, like maybe a lamp on, and there's a fountain and crystals, and just very peaceful.
That's awesome. I know our topic today is not essential oils, but since you mentioned it, and we did have an episode this season on essential oils, but specifically for the feet, what's a typical blend that you would use, and what do you use as your carrier oil?
I would use for a carrier oil, it could be grapeseed, jojoba, depending on, there's some people that have such dry feet and they crack, so more of a jojoba, which would be a thicker oil,
Mhm.
to really be able to get the oil into the skin would be helpful. And for an essential oil, it would depend on what was going on. And something to keep in mind as well, when you're working with essential oils, the feet have the biggest pores over all your body. So the quickest way to get anything into your body is through your feet. So if you've got, maybe if you have some pain somewhere, and you can put peppermint on the bottom of your feet. Peppermint is also good for reducing fevers. So if you have a child that has a fever, and I do this with my grandson, and he just loves essential oils. He has his own little container with all the empty bottles, and he'll smell them, and he just loves them. But he'll put his feet out and go, "I need some essential oils, Nana," and he'll be able to choose which ones he needs, which is really awesome. So, he'll tell me whether it's lavender, peppermint, or whatever the blend is. So, but it just depends on what the issue is. For peace and calming and just relaxing, there is, the company that I use has a peace and calming blend, which is really nice. Or you can make a blend of your own. There's just so many different opportunities with the essential oils that, oh, the sky's the limit with that can really, really help, even just with just being, like just being in your own space instead of the stress and the worry all the time. Just to take time and just, some of those oils just kind of go, oh, that just makes me feel so good.
Yes, yes. I like eucalyptus, and I don't know anybody who does essential oils who doesn't like lavender because of just the amazing calming effects and the relaxation
Absolutely.
that you get from that. But when our guest talked to us about essential oils before, she was mentioning some that I was like, ooh, I'm going to try that, because it's amazing the benefits that you can get from the things that people don't talk about as much. I know we get locked into our Western medicine ideals, and yes, you need Western medicine too, but you can supplement that with so many awesome therapies that truly complement it and that truly help. And everything doesn't have to be a pharmacological answer, right? There's so many things in nature that we can use that give us these incredible benefits. And so I'm just excited to be able to explore those and to share those with everyone. So that's awesome. So back to our session. So I'm in the room now, and the mood is set, the light is low, we're getting ready to start. Where do you start? Do I tell you first, like, hey, my neck is stiff, or do you just kind of start the feeling process and then respond to what you're feeling?
So what I will ask, is there any tenderness, any ingrown toenails, any areas that they are experiencing pain right now? Because I don't want to go over the area and shoot them through the roof. So they will tell me, or they'll say, nope, I'm good. And as I'm working, then I will ask them, do you feel that? Or they may respond in an area, because I will ask them, if you feel any uncomfortable or pain, please let me know. So then that's an area that I can look at and work further.
So if they're not experiencing any tenderness on the feet, and they're good to go with that, where do you start?
So I will start at the toes.
Okay.
So I
And
work
then
from the top of the foot down.
okay. All right. And how long does a session typically last?
Typically it lasts about an hour.
Okay. Nice. I I could be okay with laying there for an hour and just getting the tensions worked out and and all of that. And so then once the session is finished, what does the post session look like? So, you know, you're done with the actual, you know, pressure points and manipulation and all of that. So now what happens?
So what I do, because I have a couple different therapies that I do, I like to incorporate all of them into the treatments that I do. So I will do color light therapy. So I will ask them as well, is there any areas on your body that you're experiencing pain? And then I will focus the color lights on those areas just to get that extra.
Can you just explain that for people so that they understand what you mean by that? Because I want them to get a full picture of what, you know, obviously each reflexologist is going to be a little bit different and will have a different sort of combination as far as what they provide in their sessions. But for you, I want people to understand what it means when you say that and what to have a real picture of what that looks like.
Sure. So color lights are, well, if we look at the sun, so up here in Canada, where I am, in the wintertime, a lot of people suffer from seasonal affective disorder due to the fact that we don't have a lot of sunshine. It's not out very often. So without the sun, we would all die. We need the sunshine rays, we need that vitamin D, and the sun provides us the whole spectrum of colors. So what color light therapy does is it is crushed minerals, and I have all the different colors of the rainbow, plus quite a few others. And what I'm able to do is target areas like, I say like a laser, but it doesn't hurt or anything like that, but I'm targeting specific areas of the body with certain colors. So the body can recognize that and be able to utilize it to help itself. So similar to Reiki, if I was to use Reiki, the Reiki would go wherever it needs to in the body. So even if this area here is what hurts or the shoulder hurts, the color will spread out through the body wherever it's needed. So that's one important thing, you know, if you're wondering, you know, oh, well, she only got that, but now I've got a pain down here. It goes throughout the body wherever it's needed. So when you're looking at colors, you've got your red, orange, and yellow. Those are your hot colors. So those are for circulation. The sunshine, which is the yellow, it's to bring joy and happiness. And if you just even close your eyes for a second and just think of the color yellow, you tend to smile because it's like, ooh, sunshine, you know? So just thinking of those colors, it's to get you moving, to get you active, creativity, different things like that. Now green sits in the middle between the hot and the cool colors. So the cool colors are blue, indigo, and violet. And those are for pain. They're for relaxing and helping you sleep. And blue is for communication and raising your vibration, so the connection to source and those things. So green is right in the middle, which is for balance. So if you're not sure what color to use, green is always good. Unless you are a person who suffers with any type of growths, then green is not good to use, okay? Pink is really good because pink is an all over healing color. So you can use that if you're not sure, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful treatment. I teach color breathing too, which is really easy and everybody can do it. And it's just a really nice extra thing that you can do no matter, you know, where you are or what you're doing other than driving. But people don't even realize you're doing it, but you can direct the colors to areas in your body where you're having pain. They can help in so many different ways. It's just an amazing tool.
That's awesome. Okay, so now that we've done the reflexology, we've done the color light therapy, what does the end of the session look like?
So I'll gently either rub their shoulder or, you know, their leg and just say, how are you feeling? And give them some water, and then just let them, I'll leave the room and just let them get up at their own pace. And then when they're ready, then come out and, you know, feel good and Then we discuss at that time anything that I have felt, because I don't talk through the treatment. So I won't be like, oh, I feel something here. Now they might respond just so that I know, so that I can let them know what else I'm feeling in those areas. But it's a time for people to relax and just be. I don't want to be talking and disturbing that. So I want it to be as peaceful for people as possible.
That's wonderful. I'm just going, ooh. It sounds good. Okay, and so then, like, how often should somebody be seen? Like, how often do they do the sessions, and for what's the duration? So, if I'm, having tension headaches, how many sessions should I plan on, and then how frequently?
Well, if you were having tension headaches, I would suggest I would see you in a week, but during that week, that I would have you drinking more water. There would be some other suggestions that I might give you. And then when we connect back in that week, to see how you're feeling then, and then put a plan into place. So if you were suffering from migraine headaches after that first meeting, so the follow-up meeting, I'd ask how you're feeling and if anything has changed, but then I would go into, all right, so how about we take a look at some of those other aspects and some more about your history, your self-reflection, and then I have a program that works with essential oils. I have workbooks that I would give with an essential oil that would help with whatever. So it's a 3-week program where they would use an essential oil every day, and they're just questions, just thoughts, and to bring your awareness instead of having your blinders on going, I just got to get through this day, I just got to get through this day. It's more looking around and going, this is a great day, and just being aware of the beauty and nature, and just bringing them back into, this is a wonderful life, and this is a beautiful day. Every day is a new day, and you can make it as wonderful as possible. So just getting them into that type of mindset that, yes, you might not be feeling well now, but that's right now. And things can change. As you change, things will change, and things will get better. So that's what I try and instill.
Do you have people who just, it's not that it's for a specific issue, but again, I bring us back to MS, and it's your thing, right? You're not going to, it's never going to go away completely, right? And so even when you're living really well and you're using nutrition and these other therapies to really treat the symptoms, and you can be asymptomatic for a good portion of the time, do you have people who just say, this is one of the things that I'm incorporating as part of my lifestyle change, and then they do just regular weekly, I'm always going to do this sessions with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And is it still weekly, or do you spread those out? If it's going to be an ongoing, I'm never going to quit thing, do you say, well, twice a month is good, or do you keep it at weekly, or does it depend on whether or not they're feeling something specific at the moment? How does that work?
Well, I can suggest how I feel, but it's totally up to the client as well. Or what I might do is say, instead of doing reflexology, how about we focus and do color light therapy, and maybe a one-on-one on coaching and getting to some of those other things using essential oils and color lights, because color lights help release those things in a very positive, non-dramatic way, so that you're not just leaving my office going, oh my goodness, like you've been able to get through a session, you feel at peace, there's been some release, and you're able to move through that. So that's some of the other things that I would suggest, because reflexology is great, but they don't need to do it all the time, and there's other things that we can look at. And even the essential oils, before I got started in the essential oils, I had aromatherapist friend of mine who was writing a book, and she had asked me to be a guinea pig. I'm like, anything with holistic services, I'm there. So she had asked me just to jot down my feelings and how I responded to the essential oils, and I used one essential oil, a different one each week for a whole year, and that absolutely changed my life. And my life did a 360, and if somebody had told me, well, at the end of this, your life is not going to be the same, I'd be like, whatever. But it did. And even if you don't believe in essential oils, it really doesn't matter, because it'll work on you no matter what. And I always like to tell people as well that everybody's different and we respond to things differently. So one person with MS might find that reflexology is like the end all be all, it's wonderful, and somebody like, I don't feel anything. And that's okay, because that's what I like to bring forward, is there's options. So not everything's going to work for everybody, and that's where you need to do some research on all the different therapies out there, and your summit is just a wonderful way to do that, because you're going to have all these wonderful people on that have a different way of looking at how to get healthy. And so listening to this summit is just a wonderful way to expand your horizon on all the different things that are out there and things you can try. And if they don't work, that's okay. Move on and find something that might work for you but not work for somebody else. So
I think that's kind of that's the way we think anyway with MS, because our disease is called the snowflake disease. It's yeah, that's how it's referred to, the snowflake disease, because there's no two alike in the world. And so I love being able to just showcase all of these different modalities that people can, exactly what you're saying, experiment with and find the combination of things that work for you. And what I like to say is that you're building a wellness team, right? And so on your wellness team, you're going to have your neurologist, you're going to have your primary care physician, your family doctor, and then who else do you have on your team, right? I'm a health coach, so obviously I think you should have a health coach on your team.
absolutely.
But what else is there? So, you know, we have a chiropractor, we have an acupuncturist, we have a massage therapist, a reflexologist. You know, we're bringing people, potential team members, right, to form that wellness team that gets you through life. And, you know, the name of our show is Beyond Surviving to Thriving. And you don't have to just survive, right? There are all of these options that allow you to thrive even with an incurable disease. So I think it's exciting what you gave us today. And, you know, these are some more things that people will have an opportunity to explore and to experiment with and to check out for themselves and see if it fits. Is this another team member that I should have? So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are winding down on time. And I like to do, one of the last things that I like to do for each episode is to provide people with something that they can do right now, as soon as they're done watching, to feel some relief, to feel better, to live better. So give me 3 things that people can do today to help them feel better.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned before, giving yourself a foot massage, wonderful thing. You don't really have to know all the ins and outs of reflexology to be able to do that. Better yet, if you have a significant other that can do it for you, wonderful. That's always good. Also, the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, if you go to the library and pick that up, because that's a wonderful, wonderful book for helping you with self-reflection. So that's an amazing tool to use. I have given away so many different books, but whenever I read it, I find some new little tidbits that I didn't see before. So it's not a book that you pick up, read, and put away. You're constantly referring to it. It's got lots of good information in there, lots of affirmations for a positive mindset. And there's going to be a free gift, and it's all about, there's charts and all sorts of different things on there. So they're reflexology charts, so you can check out those to find out, areas that you might want to specifically work on. And you can do that too. It's not only reflexologists that can do that. You can just check out the chart and find it on your own foot, and then work those areas that you feel you need or just be led to. A lot of people, if you listen to your body, and it's taken me a long time to learn this, over 20 years, but our body will tell us what it needs. So really start listening to that little voice inside that might be saying, work this area, or I need this, or I need more fluids, or how about some whole foods, or whatever it is. Start listening to that little voice inside, because we've lived in these bodies the longest. We
Yeah.
know our bodies. So we are the professionals about us. So it's time that we started listening and really paying attention so that we can give our bodies what we need in order to thrive.
Amazing, amazing. So the free gift, tell us a little bit more about that. So you said there are some charts there that we can look at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's foot charts, there's hand charts, there's also a face chart on there showing the different reflex points. So it's a wonderful resource. It's not mine, but I like to share it because it's got wonderful information on that. And I think you're going to put up the link for that, right?
Yes,
Wonderful.
I am.
Awesome. So yeah, it's just a wonderful tool. So, and they're all in color, which is helpful too. But it just describes the different areas, and yeah, they're just wonderful tools. So there's a lot of information in there that can be helpful. So definitely check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything with us. It was amazing to see how the process works and to know that this is something that we can incorporate either ourselves at home, or we can go to a professional. And I like the idea of going to a professional because I love it when somebody else is working on me.
Absolutely.
So, thank you again for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Yvette. You have a wonderful day.
Okay, so everyone, thank you for tuning in today. We are going to have the link right here below the video. Just make sure you click on that link so that you can get the free gift. And also we have her social media down there, and so you should get connected with her so that you can follow her and benefit from the amazing information that she's putting out. And we will see you on the next episode of Beyond Surviving to Thriving.